The Books That Shaped Me is proudly sponsored by WinStar Insurance Group right out of Cedar Park, Texas. Owned and operated by Stephanie Dew, my dear friend. Early on in her career, she knew what it was like to feel undervalued. And she vowed that if she ever had an opportunity to be in leadership, she was going to do it different. And she does. She values each of her employees and her clients with the utmost integrity and respect and kindness that you'd ever imagine. So they've got a specialty in their business. They take care of first responders. They've got wineries, breweries, childcare facilities, and the employees themselves are so excited to be there. And they talk about how they haven't felt valued anywhere else like they do there. So it's hats off to Stephanie and WinStar Insurance Group because our values align with faith, trust, and authenticity. Thank you, Stephanie, from the bottom of my heart and those of us that hang out with the books that shaped me. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Books That Shaped Me. I'm your host, Angie Smith, and I am just excited about our conversation today, Miss Jennifer.
Yes.
Jennifer and I have had an opportunity to be in each other's circles for the past few years at work conferences. It's one of those things that when you're going through and you see people coming and going, there are just some of those people that feel like a little bit of a spark. And that's what I felt. One time, I think the most we really had conversations was when our booths were next to each other. And I was like, you know what? I want to learn more about Jennifer and her story. And so I'm so thankful that you said yes to coming here and sharing with me about your leadership journey. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And what an honor to be asked, and so fun.
Yeah.
So.
It's a blast. It's a blast. So, what we do here at the Books That Shape Me is really just learn your story. We did title it The Books That Shape Me, but honestly, it includes your moments, your mentors, and what are those things as you think back on your life that have helped you become the person and the leader that you are today. So, with that, I mean, where would you like to start, ma'am? Do you want to tell me about childhood? Do we want to talk about college? I'm here for the ride.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Right. And you start looking back at your life and, hopefully still have a lot to go.
Yes. The
But
best is yet to come.
That's right. But you start looking back at the phases of life and how they've all meant something, and it's all been stacking up to now. Where are you going? The decisions you're making, how you're dealing with things with your kids and your parents, and so it's been fun. But I mean, so growing up, I grew up in between Oak Hill and Dripping Springs. So grew up off of Fitzhugh. A lot of people will know Fitzhugh as I think it might be the bougiest road in Texas now because there's all the wineries and the distilleries and everything. So I grew up there. Went into Austin schools, so graduated from Bowie High School, and I've seen Austin change tremendously over the years. But then I went to A&M and in College Station, and my parents both went to A&M, and so I left Austin for 4 years and had a great time in College Station, and have came back to Austin and was, looking for what does the next phase look like? Oh my gosh, I have to get a real job, is what my mother
Reality
told
sunk
me.
in.
Yes. When my mom says, okay, it's time for you to get a real job, because I was driving a beverage cart at Circle C Golf Course, now known as, everyone knows it as Gray Rock, having the time of my life. So for all of those folks out there that, the bev cart girls, it's a fun job.
It's just as fun as it looks, huh?
Yes, it's so fun. You're in nature. You're watching people have a great time.
You're helping enhance that good time.
You're helping enhance it. They love seeing you coming. So I had this wonderful opportunity for several years to do that. And then when I graduated from A&M, came back and was like, well, yeah, I'll work at the golf course again. So my mom said, yeah, it's time for you to get a real job with, a thing called insurance, your own. So I started kind of down that journey of, okay, what does a real job look like? What do I want to do? It's scary.
It is
And
scary.
now that I have kids in college, I feel, like telling them it's okay. You don't have to know what you want to do,
Yes.
but at some point you're going to have to make a
Put
decision.
some kind of forward momentum.
Yes. Yes. So, just through, blessings and how things work out, there was a big um, uh, golf tournament happening. And this gentleman, Dick Reynolds was
Mhm.
his name. He had a ton of charisma, just greatest personality, little old man.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Young lady, what are you doing working here?" I said, "Well, I just graduated from A&M and I'm looking for a job." And he goes, "Really? Okay, well, we're gonna have to figure something out."
Mm.
And I was like, "Yes, sir." That's what a lot of people tell you, right?
Sure.
So I come back, I see him 3 holes later and he goes, "Young lady, here's my business card. Call me tomorrow. We're gonna get an interview set up." Well, he was the executive director of the Workers' Compensation Commission,
Okay.
which was a state agency. And he was so intentional on he wanted me to, "Okay, young lady," as he told me, "it's time for you to have a job." And so and I went through the whole interview process, and that agency ended up hiring me. And, I'll never forget, they called and offered me a job, and, this very kind, sweet woman has said, "I've been told we're gonna hire you."
Oh, well,
And I was like,
okay.
"Yes, ma'am, okay." She made the offer. It was, you know, in today's money, you couldn't even survive on it, and
Yeah.
she made the offer and said, "Okay, you start next week." And I got off the phone, and I was sitting in my parents' living room, and I just bust into tears. My mom says, "What happened?" And I said, "I got a job." It was the scariest time to go from, now I'm gonna have to be
Yeah.
an
Yeah,
actual
yeah. Oh, we're
adult.
shifting gears. We're going from second to third. Like, it's getting real up in here.
It's getting real.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm gonna have to go there
Like,
every single day, and
yeah.
I'm not gonna get, cash tips to go home with, in my pocket. I have my $50, my $100 tips. Oh, I don't know if this is gonna work out, right? So, obviously, my parents, who have been my rock my entire life, and very supportive, said, this is what it means to grow up, and this
Yeah.
is the next phase." So, started that job, met so many wonderful people,
Mhm.
and you really start seeing, I mean, that was my first exposure to
Mhm.
a working world. It's a state agency. You really start seeing the dedication
Yeah.
that people have to their jobs. And then, of course, I'm partial
Mhm.
for working for the state for so long, is the passion that people have to help others,
Mhm.
that are working in public sector, and to help all of those
Mhm.
constituents out there.
The mission.
The mission,
Yeah.
right? These and you look at folks, they weren't getting paid
Yeah.
a ton of money, but they were showing up and they were there for the mission. And
Mm.
so I learned so much from everyone I was working with, and just how to work with others. And so a lot of the people that I worked with, I'm still friends with today.
Mm.
And um, in fact, one of them reached out just last week, and we're all getting together here, and hopefully a couple of weeks. But you you're in that environment. So okay, so back up a little bit. I was there for about 2.5 years, and the Workers' Compensation Commission ended up getting abolished
Mm.
through legislation. It got put up under the Texas Department of Insurance.
Mm.
And at the time, the leadership team said, "Hey, they're gonna be getting rid of I mean, I was an executive assistant,
Mm.
and they're like, but they're coming in, they're going to get rid of all these layers. You need to find a new job. Well, the IT director at Stacey Jefferson at Workers' Comp said, I know a person. I'm going to call this agency called DIR, and we need to get you a job over there. And I said, well, I don't know anything about technology. I'm an ag girl, right? So A&M, I was an ag business major. I thought I was going to work for a Department of Ag, and this was going to be my journey. I was going to be working with farmers and ranchers. And she goes, oh, you can learn technology.
There was no pause. It'll just move right along. We got you.
She's like, you can learn this. So I interviewed DIR at DIR, and a week later they're calling saying, okay, we we'd like to hire you. I don't know. Of course, the workers' compensation people are like, yes, we will accept it for her. She needs to get out of this agency. We don't know what's going to happen. So I accepted the job, and I feel like that was such a huge pivotal moment. I would have never had the courage to have such dramatic change and to go into something that was so unknown to me. But it was kind of like forced change, right? And so moved over to DIR, and I think that's where they say, the rest is history. And there's, a whole DIR journey in there as well. And that's where I kind of, met my family, as I would say now, is DIR became my family, some of my best friends in the world. I had all 3 babies at DIR, baby showers. It was an incredible home and allowed me to grow in so many ways, with such support. And you saw the same characteristics of people, though, of wanting to do the right thing and wanting to change and help other agencies. And basically, you look at public sector workers, and they definitely don't get enough credit for what they're doing and the long hours that they're putting in. So
it kind of reminds me of like our bones.
Yeah.
Like our bones are keeping us up. They're keeping us functioning and going. But how often do I go, man, I'm so glad my bones are working real good.
That's right.
But if it doesn't work real good, you noticing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's that behind the scenes kind of keeping things moving forward.
That's right.
Because I know with DIR, right, they're the IT procurement agency for the state agencies. So
Right.
they're the ones that help agencies get what they need. Yes, I mean, IT right now, it's like oxygen. We need it.
That's right. That's
so
right.
it's like you say, kind of unthankful. There's not enough appreciation,
right,
for the infrastructure and the work that goes behind the scenes.
That's right. That's right. So you look at it now, and so the journey has taken me to another state agency, and then now into private sector. And I love what I'm able to do now. I'm with a company called KPMG, and it's meeting great people, getting to help the state again, just through a different lens. So the journey has taken you everywhere, but really seeing the differences on private sector, public sector has been very eye-opening. And
another gear shift.
Yeah, total gear shift. But and throughout that, you kind of look back at all the different phases of life. And now with 3 kids, everything seems to be centered around their age, what phase they were in. And that's how I kind of that's how I can remember dates of when something happened. It was like, oh, well, Grayson was 2. And so that's how you time box everything. But I will say having 3 children and looking at all of the different elements and all of the support I got when I
Mhm.
was at DIR for, having these kiddos, and it's just a huge blessing,
Yeah.
huge blessing.
Yeah.
So,
And every single thing that you've gone through has layered on top. And
yeah,
then you've had the mentors, like the two folks that you just kind of called out. That
yeah,
it's just like you're living your life. You're putting the energy, the effort. You're applying yourself. You're showing up,
that's right.
and then that next door opens. And then, even though it's a little scary sometimes, taking that next right step,
Yeah,
walking through that door, and it's ushering in a whole new chapter of your life.
that's it. That's it. The mentors along the way, it's so powerful because you knew that they were an important person and you thanked them,
Yeah.
but you didn't realize the impact that what they were teaching you, even when it might not have been the best feedback.
Right.
It was teaching you things to get you to ready for that next level. And so many mentors along the way, and so many people that were just kind when they didn't have to be,
Mhm.
and who wanted to see somebody succeed and were willing to give their time and efforts for that. And I feel like that's when you really have to see that full circle. And, my goal is to do that for other people, right? I mean, I don't see myself as a mentor in any capacity, but just want to help people,
Sure.
right? If you're in a position to to make a call or to open a door for somebody,
Yep.
do it.
And the gift of time.
Yeah.
Right? Because you talked about your mentor taking the time to invest in you.
Yeah.
And now we're a little, on our journey in our career path, and we've learned a few things,
Yeah.
and we're ready to share that. We're
That's
ready to
right.
spend some time and invest in those that are coming up behind us.
Yeah.
Whether it's your kids, or not, right? People
Yeah.
in your workspace, and this younger generation, they're coming up, and they've got their ideas and they've got their skill sets that they're strong, but to blend it all together, those of us who have been down the path a little bit, they've got some new ways of looking. And how do we
Mhm.
just spend time and grow and cultivate together?
Yeah. Well, and something that I tell my kids is relationships and connections with people are everything.
Yeah.
And, and you just never know what somebody's going through. And I try to remind, my boys of, hey, they might have been off or they might not have been nice, but you don't know what happened in their day,
Right.
and giving that grace to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about people. It's all about connections, and
Yep.
it's powerful.
Opportunities come through the doors of people,
That's right.
connections. Yeah.
That's right.
That's something that one of the podcasts that I listen to, let's just do a shout out to the Austin Tech Council. That's Tom Singer. He's always talking about opportunities coming through people.
Yeah.
And that's why we never burn a bridge.
That's
We
right.
do our very best, right? Some things don't work out, and we tried, and it doesn't mean I'm wrong or you're wrong. It just means we didn't fit. And now what's next?
That's it. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Like, I think it's funny you say don't burn a bridge. It's so true. And you start looking at community and just how small it really is. And, as you and I both being in technology, that technology, I mean, so some communities are broader than others, but man, when you start getting into these smaller communities, it's don't burn a bridge for
Don't burn a
sure.
bridge.
Don't burn
That's
a bridge.
right. We do our best.
That's right. That's right.
So when you think about your journey, thank you so much for sharing kind of that path, because now I feel like I have a little bit more of an insight into your own trajectory. Were there any thoughts or books that maybe did kind of have a bit of a bearing on you?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. When I graduated from A&M, and before I had started my job at workers comp, I decided I was going to go and get my MBA. And so I did, and this was pre-kids, and of course everything was very academic. And so I did a lot of reading, but it was all studying and reading. So as you start looking at these phases of where you were, so I was no kids, and I could read all these books about leadership and what you're supposed to do, and then, financial how to manage financial systems and all these kind of boring,
Mhm.
awful things. You get done with that chapter, you're like, "Oh, I finished that degree. I'm not opening up these books, anything like that again." And then I had my first son, and it was all about, the book phase is Curious George and
Yes.
the precious, nursery rhymes, and you start realizing there's so much coming out of those books,
Mhm.
um, but it's such a drastic change,
Yes.
right, from what
Yes.
you've been doing, and I had never exposed myself to any of those books, so, I think those were really some of my favorite times from and beautiful illustrations,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's why I think I have a newfound, um, appreciation for children's, authors, and because the illustrations and the graphics and
Mm.
what makes a kid love a book, right?
Yeah.
Is it the way it's written and the rhyming and just all the pretty pictures?
I love it.
Yeah, they
I love
were
it.
they were some good times. And then I think, you kinda go through a phase, and like I said, my life is built around the kids' phases, and so the kids get older, and you start reading books that they're reading in school,
Mhm.
Old Yeller, which I
Mhm.
still cry. Yes,
So
yes.
hard.
Mhm. Um, and just all kinds of, more adult children
Mhm.
books,
Mhm.
and so I think those meant a lot, and they also were the first, like, where my kids were actually reading. Now, I
Mhm.
will full disclosure, I did not do a good job of getting them to be avid readers, and, I don't know why that is, except for they're boys,
Yeah.
and
They're out there doing the thing. They're living their
yeah,
life.
they'd rather be, digging in dirt
Yes.
and,
Yes.
destroying
There you
something,
go. There you go.
playing with, football, baseball, stuff like that, so
So when it was like you mentioned, like Old Yeller, for example, did you like read to them out
yeah,
loud? Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of how y'all shared together.
Yeah, that's how we would have moments, and they're not strong readers, and so, shout out to all of the dyslexic
Yeah.
folks out there. 2 of my sons are dyslexic, and it's really been a challenge
Mhm.
for them, and I'm proud,
Yes.
of them for overcoming and, for learning strategies and
Yeah.
techniques, and shout out to the school district.
Yeah.
Dripping Springs School District has been amazing of offering resources, but it's still one of those, it's hard
Yeah.
and it's not fun to do it,
Yeah.
so they don't choose to
Right.
go
Right.
and read.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, it would be that getting to read with them and then having them read a chapter and us and me read a chapter, so, like, little bonding.
yeah.
Um, I think it almost gets a little sadder when they get older where you can't sit down and
I
go, "Come on, sit on my lap, we're gonna read."
know.
So I think
They can't
that's
climb
when
on your lap anymore because they're getting bigger than you.
yeah, that's right, that's right. Um, I think that's when I started shifting,
Mhm.
and you start looking at, "Okay, well, they're doing their thing now, now I have to figure out
Mhm.
where is mom going?"
Yeah.
So I think that's when some of, you know, I start trying to get inspired of, "What am I gonna do with my career?
Mhm.
Um, what am I gonna do with the rest of my life?" So you start going down to the Brené Brown,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just looking at some of those type books, more inspirational,
Right.
leadership.
Yeah.
Um, how do you get there? How do you build teams?
Mhm.
I think I shifted, right? So once my kids got a little bit older, when I started going, all right, now that I'm moving into my career and maybe into more management space, how am I going to adjust? How am I going to shift? How am I going to be that person
Mhm.
that helped me
Yeah. Yeah.
over the years, right?
Well, and you brought up Brené. I mean, I am just a card-carrying Brené Brown fan. I know we talked about that a little bit, but
Yeah.
right now she even has a podcast that's out that is called The Curiosity Shop,
Oh,
and it's her and Adam Grant.
okay.
So they together just geek out, and it's so awesome. And so I just been listening to that. So I would like to put that while you're saying, you know, because I know driving and whatnot and chores, you know, it's kind of easy to pop in a podcast, but she's just really unpacking it at a whole new level. Like, for example, this morning I was listening because it's my favorite one. And they were talking about the difference between executive presence and what she has titled pocket presence. So she's talking about being raised by a dad who was in football and, you know, like played football and was all into sports when growing up. So she said she was educated about what pocket presence was. And so she gives the example of Tom Brady and how he's on the field and he was just so effective in his role as quarterback because he was he knew his team and the trust was so deep that he if it was a bad snap or something happened that they all knew what to do next because they had developed that level of integrated trust.
Yeah.
And so they were unpacking the difference between like executive presence being maybe that's just one person who like maybe has the vibrato or the look, but really the pocket presence is more a collective energy.
Yeah.
And so they were really unpacking the difference between those two concepts. So, I mean, when you talk about, you know, Brené in general, leadership, she just brings it like home where we can relate to the stories.
Yeah. And when you can relate, it's just, you can use it, right? You don't have to go, what was that I heard?
Right.
It just comes naturally. Yeah. That's so cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yes. A big plug for the Curiosity Shop.
Yes. Yes. You know, and I think there's some books that you just kind of keep with you throughout. So I have, you know, I love devotionals, and there's a few that I just kind of keep with me at all points, right? You never know what the day is going to bring. And when you just need that little moment of encouragement. Yeah.
A little pick me up.
That's right. That's right. I know my mom gave me a book, a devotional called Devotions from the Horse Farm, and written by Kara Whitney, I believe. And her husband, I think his name is Dan Whitney. I think I'm going to get this right. But he is Larry the Cable Guy.
Oh.
And so he does this really funny forward of like everyone who thinks like who he is. But then really he talks about just, he's like, well, my wife is the star of the show. And talks about, you know, the book and the devotional and her journey to get to write all these devotions. And there's beautiful pictures, but it's also just it helps you in so many days where you feel like you might be struggling or you just need a little bit. So those kinds of things are more like, I think are just used through every phase of life.
Yeah. It's in your pocket. It's accessible. It goes, like you said, through the years with you.
That's right.
That's
and
beautiful.
Sometimes you have those moments of going, oh my gosh, I read that 3 years ago, but it means something totally different now. I know. You know, just because life happens and you have a different context. So
your perspective.
Yeah.
And I mean, even just hearing you share your life, how every single thing layers on top of every single thing else. Like your experience at DIR positioning you uniquely to be where you are at KPMG right now. Every single thing builds on everything else.
So true.
To position us for such a time as this.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. You have to really start believing that everything happens for a reason, right? And that you learned and you gathered the knowledge and that you'll just keep growing and to just keep trusting the master plan.
I know. And I have cited this before, but I feel like it's fresh and applicable now. But just like in the Karate Kid movie, right? When he's wax on, he's wax off, he's painting the fence and he feels like, why are you making me do, you know, he's so just frustrated.
Yeah.
But then they put him in the ring, or not the ring, whatever, the what is it called? Dojo? I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The opportunity to fight the opponent.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all that leg work that he did and arm work, and he built that muscle memory. So he's able to rise above above the physicality, get in his mind and anticipate the next move. And that's what's happening, I think, in our lives.
Mhm.
We're doing the reps and it's positioning us for the next phase.
That's right. You're getting prepared.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's
It is beautiful. It's you know, everyone has challenges and you just become so grateful of each moment. I think once you can hone in, I'm grateful that to have the where I'm able to focus on just being present and being thankful. And it's something that you can't just it just didn't happen overnight, right? Being present is hard.
It takes effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it said we are human beings, not human doings.
Mhm.
But we come into this world moving around,
Yeah.
running, chasing, growing, eating. I mean, all the things. And then but to sit still, you're like, what? I'm not having stimuli right now. But when we spend time, like you said, with nature,
Yeah.
with our breath, it just slows everything down. It brings calm and clarity.
It does.
So when we have to hop up and run again, we got to, our eyes are cleared up.
Yeah. Well, and just like, I mean, I know my friends and I, we talk about, you know, anxiety all the time, and anxiety is a real thing, right? The worry, but there are, you know, it's amazing how being able to be in the moment and be present and can really help with some of, you know, things that the people are struggling with. Um, you know, and I found also that listening is so meaningful to not only the person you're listening to, but to yourself. It's helping so many people when you can just listen. And you know, that's what I tell my kids too. My poor kids, they get the brunt of everything. You need to do this. You need to do
the
this.
life lessons.
The life lessons. But I was like,
one time my daughter said, "Mom, not everything's a life lesson." I said, "Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
Yeah, it is.
Of course it is." Well, listening is just so important. And, you know, sometimes people aren't looking for you to solve their problem.
Ooh, preach it.
You know,
Yeah.
they're just looking, they just need somebody to hear them out and go, "I'm here for you." And when you can find those people in your life that are just like, "Hey, I'm here for you. Just spit it out. And I'm not going to tell you how to solve it. If you ask me to help solve it, I can try.
Right.
But I'm going to listen and I'm going to be there for you."
Yeah. Also in that listening and holding space and honoring that this person, they're leg wrestling through all the variables and they're sharing a handful and we don't even know all of them. But to reiterate, I know that you are capable of making this right, you know, the next right choice for you in your life. I can't make that choice.
That's right.
And I'm still here to hold space with you.
That's right. That's right. Empowering them that they can do it. Sometimes, you know, we talk a lot about our personal life and I talk a lot about my kids. But from a work perspective, you know, I've seen it so much too. Sometimes your colleagues, they just need to vent. They just want somebody to listen to, and they need that time. And so building the relationships and the trust that you know you spoke of, listening is a great way to build trust, and I have learned that throughout my career for sure.
I know. I like it when people say, "Yeah, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth."
Yes.
Right. We're doing twice the listening and half the talking.
That's exactly right. My dad says that all the time. And so I have tried to always remember that. And of course, told my 12-year-old, you got.
And we've got the visual image. Like I'm looking at him like, "Yep, 2 ears. Yep. Okay. All right. Remember."
That's right. That's right. It's fun. So.
Well, it's very, I know it's life throws us so many curveballs. I'm glad that you did kind of circle back right here at the end to talk about work. Because I feel like so often in our workplaces, I think that things might be changing now. I'm hopeful, but that they want us to check our humanity at the door when we walk into the workplace. And unfortunately, like you said, if we're going through a hard time at home, I mean, being able to just have grace with each other because we're people first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's everything, right? And, um, it's been interesting the past it's hard to believe that, it was 6 years ago when COVID,
Already, right?
right? So,
Yeah.
but I do feel like it changed a lot of folks. Of course, everyone went through, terrible situations, but I think it changed the work world
Yeah.
of you didn't have the connection. You were so I mean, before COVID, you drove into town for, every day, 5 days a week. You leave the house at 7, you get home at 6 or 7, and that's just normal life.
Mhm.
And today, that is certainly very different. So
Yep.
you losing the connection, and I think sometimes people are forgetting to that they're all just people
I
that you're
know.
working with.
Well,
So
and to the pre-COVID 5 days a week in the office, like that, the water cooler thing, right? Where
mhm.
you're seeing each other in passing. You're celebrating birthdays, baby showers, like you talked about.
Yeah.
You're making the deposits in the humanity. And then when the work gets hairy and there's escalations and there's an email that was worded just so, it's like you have these deposits that you can rebound from.
Yep.
But then when we got to the COVID and the post COVID, and all you have is the virtual, and that email comes across snarky, or
Mhm.
the instant message, and you don't have those deposits, then it's just like, it just keeps like chipping away.
Yeah.
And we have to be more intentional to make those connections.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I can't count the number of times if I hadn't had a relationship with somebody at work
Yeah.
that an event would have happened or an email would have happened, that it would have destroyed it. But because we had that relationship, because we had, shared moments, we're able to move past it, and you're able to work through things. But, it's I think, you know, our generations coming up, it's harder
Yeah.
for them. I think the kiddos out there that are intentional on listening and relationships are gonna ultimately excel. And I mean, with obviously with the AI, um, what do we call it? Just taking over,
Mhm.
everyone's kind of just space. I think you're gonna start seeing that, yes, AI can do wonderful things, but, you're still gonna need the connections,
Yeah.
and the individuals that can bring that are gonna be so valuable,
Yeah.
and I think, ultimately very successful.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, it's obviously it's a tool, and we're figuring out how to integrate them into our workplaces, into our lives. And there's a limitation. And there's so many questions about AI's like ability to like to have a personhood and things of that nature.
yeah.
But it's ultimately it's a reflection of our humanity, and we are still the human, and the ability to pivot without a direct line command.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's right, that's
so to
right.
keep that human connection, to keep that ability to have empathy for each other when we're hurting,
Mhm.
to tell a joke, to break, maybe a tension, or to read a room. These are skill sets that are going to help, like you said, help us
Yeah,
excel
yeah,
when the onslaught continues so intensely.
that's right, that's right. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So here we are. We're doing the thing. So what else is keeping you busy these days? I know you've talked about 3 boys, you've talked about the new job, and you're really just being a voice to help articulate your experience. What
Yeah.
is there anything else that you would like to share what you're working on or excited about?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always got things going. The mind Of course, I love plants. So
Oh,
I'm constantly in the my husband, laughs, and he's very supportive of it, but I'm always getting some like, "Oh, I found a deal on a plant," and there's really not much more room to plant anything else, but I'm like, "Oh, I'll work a few more beds here," right? So, loving that. Of course, it's hot right
yes.
now, and so but it's fun just to be outside, and um also, I've been doing a lot of reflecting. I think as you look at your career, and especially going into I was trying something new in this private sector side. you start thinking about your experiences. And, I've always had this in the back of my mind. Well, I'm gonna write a book, right? And so along the way, I've been marking down the chapters, right? From starting way back, my mom's heart problems, and our house burned, and all kinds of things. There's a chapter there for
Yes,
it.
there is.
And mental health, dealing with kids with mental health is so important to be transparent and not sweep it under the rug. And so I've always wanted to make sure that people knew that it, it's okay to talk about it.
Yes.
And so I think, there's some book on the horizon somewhere. I've gotten the chapters, kind of scoped out. Now I just actually have to do the hard part and tell the story.
Yeah. Well, I
So I
love
think, yeah,
that. I love that. I mean, that's exactly why I do this. I believe so strongly in telling our stories.
yeah,
I believe it's helpful for us to verbally process it, emotionally process it, share it, because we don't know what part of our story, whether it's heard audibly or in a printed book or just living your life, people are always watching.
yeah,
And if we can continue to, when we get knocked down, get back up again, try again, learn the lesson, apply the lesson, give, love, serve. This is what we do,
yeah.
to contribute to humanity and legacy.
Yeah. And, I think that's it. It's, I don't know who quoted it. I know my husband, says it all the time, but it's not what happens to us. It's how you respond.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I think showing that and making sure people see that you're going to get through it, or here's the resources
Mm-hmm.
that are available to
Yeah.
help. It's unbelievable how many people are going through the same thing, and you just don't have that connection point. And once you can start building those connections of, hey, it happened to a friend of mine, and this is a resource they had, this is what they did, it helps so much. The power of connection.
Yeah, to know we're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that I've shared this before too, but when I was going through the deepest, darkest parts of my life, to that point, I felt so alone, so dark, so sad, so much grief. I
Yeah.
was having a hard time processing it. And I found Kristen Neff's book on self-compassion. And this feels so simple, but for her just to articulate, everybody feels sad and alone and, dark at some point. Just the concept penetrated the cloud of my life in that moment to help me realize, okay, this is a human experience. I'm not weird or odd or something funky on the outer fringe. Like,
Right.
this too shall pass. I will make it through. It was just so affirming to me in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. When you can experience and just to know you're not alone, it takes the scariness out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So-
even like you and I to have seen each other for years and then to sit down for lunch right now and be like, oh my gosh, to find parallels in our life.
Yeah.
I mean, this journey that I've been on is a few months old of of launching my podcast and my business. And every time I sit down to coffee or a conversation, I'm like, I'm mind blown.
Yeah.
The beauty of the connections and the parallels. And it's a really exciting time.
Yeah. Well, and kudos to you for just getting out there and doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes you can overthink. I might have a hat that says overthinker since birth. And I wear it proudly because
just owning it.
I just own it, but sometimes you can overthink a few things and you went for it. You did it. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I call it my Barton Springs way of life, just jumping right in.
That's it.
Jump right in.
Because hey, it's gonna be too like if you think about it, you're like, oh, it's gonna be too cold. I can't do it.
Yeah, and it hurts, dude.
Yeah.
You try to inch your way in, it hurts.
Yeah. You just warm up when you jump in, it just warms up.
And then you just start hustling, the doggy paddle.
That's
like
right.
you warm, then all of a sudden it feels great.
That's right. That's exactly right. So
all right. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for spending time with me today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. And what a wonderful concept and so beautiful. This is a beautiful space and a beautiful thing you're doing. So
Yeah, thank
thanks for
you.
bringing people together.
Well, I'm loving every minute of it. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day and your life to tell your story, connect with me, connect with others. And just thank you one more time from the bottom of my heart.
Absolutely.
So game on, sister.
That's
We're going
right.
to keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, everyone, for taking some time out of your life to listen and just to be encouraged, because that's what this is all about, is finding connections with each other, reaching out, checking on each other. And we hope that you have a blessed and beautiful day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in for another conversation. These conversations are aimed at empowering, educating, and just enlifting each of us up in our journey on life. I am always open to connecting with you as a potential guest or as a sponsorship opportunity. And there's ways to connect with me on my website, angiesmithsummitconsulting.com. You can book some time with me. We can chat, we can explore, and maybe we can go on the next leg of our journey together, which might even involve some life coaching. I'm here to connect, I'm here to grow, and I'm here for you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I look forward to chatting and visiting again soon. Thank you.